Told he attacked 12 boys, beating them with a table tennis bat and his bare hands. Today the judge said the boys' lives had been seriously damaged. Kevin Birch was in court.
Well, Stuart, Derek Slade was a dangerous paedophile. In the 70s and 80s, he ran St George's School, first at Wicklewood in Norfolk and then at Great Finborough in Suffolk. It was a boarding school catering for boys between the ages of 6 and 17. Now, in 1982, a BBC Radio 4 programme questioned the way Slade treated children, but staff and parents rallied behind him. School inspectors found nothing wrong, but he had been sexually abusing the pupils. And even when he was finally tracked down and arrested by the police, they found pornographic images of children, thousands of them, on his computer. So could Slade have been stopped sooner?
You could argue that if there had been a better framework of what happens now, where education, police and social workers would go into a situation like that, that framework didn't exist in 1982. So it's arguable that there was missed opportunities, but without a complaint, the police couldn't move forward back in 1982.
And we listen to victims now, and probably decades ago we were more likely to listen to the authority rather than the victim. And that may well have happened, and that inspection clearly showed support for the school rather than the reporters from the BBC at that time.
And Kevin, tell me about the moment that the judge actually passed sentence.
Well, it was highly charged, Stuart, as you can imagine. Slade, 61, guilty of more than 50 offences. The judge, Peter Fenn, said nothing would bring back those lost days of childhood innocence for the victims. Many of them were in court in tears and sobbing, and at the end, almost as one, they stood and broke out into spontaneous applause as the jury, which had convicted Slade, finally left the courtroom.
Kevin, thank you very much indeed. And later in the programme, we'll be talking to the person who first investigated Derek Slade, Roger Cook.
There was more evidence today of how the spending squeeze is hitting our region. Norfolk County Council today approved £10 million worth of cuts to this year's budget and revealed that it's about to start work on making even harsher savings next year, 15 times as many. Norfolk isn't alone. Every authority is drawing up plans to reduce services and shed jobs.
Staff were demonstrating outside County Hall this morning in the hope they could persuade councillors to change their minds. 88 jobs will be lost because of today's decision.
We appreciate that definitely some cuts have to be made. I think everybody thinks that, but we just don't think they have to be so extreme.
I mean, there must be other ways of cutting the money.
Cutting some of the senior management jobs, for example.
The main casualty today was the Connections service, which provides careers support for young people. Offices will close, with a lot of the work moving online. A number of local transport and road safety schemes also get the axe. The mood at today's meeting was sombre. One Conservative said he was supporting the cuts with a heavy heart. We didn't come into office to cut services, he said.
It is painful, and there will be more pain to come, I'm sure. But, you know, we have to be realistic that we have to live within the financial means available to us.
And that's not the end of it. As soon as today's meeting was over, the council revealed that it's facing a shortfall of £155 million over the next 3 years. Work will start next week on identifying possible savings. One senior official told me the public of Norfolk don't know what's about to hit them. Across the region, every council is looking for ways to save money. Essex wants to save £300 million over 3 years. Northamptonshire £100 million over 4 years. Cambridgeshire is asking the public to volunteer to take over services which could be under threat.
We will keep doing the essential things. We need to maintain the roads to an acceptable level. But there are a lot of things that are nice to have, nice to do, that we've grown accustomed to, that we'll no longer be able to afford to do.
This is just the beginning of what's going to be a painful period for local government. Andrew Sinclair, BBC Look East.
And on Thursday evening, there'll be a special Look East debate about how this region could be affected by the government's spending review. That's on BBC One at 10:35.
Well, still to come tonight on Look East, a roundup of all the sport this weekend.
We'll be meeting the Jazz.
The police in Essex are looking for thieves who could be stealing expensive 4x4s to order. Several have been taken from the area around Chelmsford. Detectives have warned people not to leave car keys on show in their homes.
Luxury cars, but actually own one of these and you may be more likely to attract the attention of car thieves. Michael Ballinger used to own a Mercedes, and so did his wife, but the door of his Essex home is dented where thieves broke it open, and where the two Mercedes used to stand, an empty drive.
They jemmed open our front door, came in, and like most people in hindsight, our keys were hanging on the wall in the hallway. They helped themselves to the keys, shut the door on the way out and took both cars.
There's been a spate of high-end car thefts in Essex. 4x4s have gone too. The most recent were just last night. Essex police have issued this warning.
I'd advise people to keep keys and valuables out of sight from just inside the front door and lock them away if possible. And also, if they have UVPC doors, to make sure they are locked, because sometimes simply putting the handle up does not make them 100% secure. And also, if they've got valuable vehicles and they do have access to a garage, to try and put them away at night. There's a number of possibilities. We do know that some of these vehicles do end up abroad and they are exported through the ports.
So never mind the glamour, there might be an advantage to driving an old banger after all. Gareth George, BBC Look East.
First 3 free schools in the region could be opened by September next year. One of them, the Stour Valley Community School in Suffolk, is planned for this existing middle school in Clare. The other 2 are the Free School Norwich and the Bedford and Kempston Free School. Free schools can be set up by parents, charities or businesses. The police say a fire which destroyed a former pub in Wisbeach was arson. The Blackfriars pub is now unsafe following the fire, which happened in the early hours of the morning. Although the building was derelict, it's thought someone may have been living there. There have been 5 arson attacks in Wisbeach since March.
A new £38 million sports centre in Essex is under fire because of the way it's being paid for. It's hoped the new Basildon sporting village will be used as a training camp in the build-up to the 2012 Olympic Games, but some playing fields will be sold off to help pay for it.
4-year-old Zanti is one of the youngest members of South Essex Gymnastics Club. As well as training these youngsters, the club is developing top-class gymnasts here, and they will soon be moving to a new Olympic standard home. But even Zanti's mother is not happy with the way it's all being funded.
She will go there because she's been going gymnastics here all the time, and I'm supporting the sporting village. However, I'm not supporting the fact of trying to sell off our open green spaces where our children can run free to fund it.
Basildon is building a £38 million sporting village, which they hope will be used as a training camp by international teams in 2012. More than a third of the funding has come from Olympic grants, but the council is also having to sell off public space for housing to raise another £12 million. 3 of the 6 locations facing development are proving particularly controversial, with residents setting up online protests and petitions against the plans.
Now, this is one of the sites that the council want to sell off to help pay for the sports facilities. But locals here say taking away green spaces like this could make it much harder for children to get into sport.
Local people in Basildon from this area aren't very well off, most of them, and they won't be able to afford to go to the sporting village. This for them is free.
The developments we're proposing are low density, high quality housing, and in no cases are they taking all of the open space. Up to 40% of the open spaces are being kept.
There's no doubt this could be a top-class facility for visiting Olympic athletes and the community. But what this is really about is how do you get the next generation to take up sport? And some people would say it's equally as important to have a piece of land just around the corner where children can play. Adrian Warner, BBC Look East.